Well, hello friends. Welcome back to Something Hacking. Today we are going to integrate Markdown in the text editor because in Serenity, if you're not familiar, we're using Markdown as the format for our man pages, and it's just kind of built into the system libraries. So I'll show you what the man pages look like. So here are some of them. So let's bring up the man page for man. This is what it looks like in the text editor. So as you can see, it's Markdown. And if we just run man, then you get the man page coming out. And we also have a graphical program that shows man pages in this nice GUI. So what I would like to do today is not syntax highlighting, but rather an optional mode that you can enable in the text editor that will give you a split view where you see the Markdown rendered on the right-hand side while you're editing it on the left-hand side. I think that would be really useful because right now when I write a man page, I have to go and do it on my host machine and then load it somewhere so I can see it, or I can do it in here and I keep running some commands so I can see what it looks like. But it would be much cooler if it would just update as I type, right? So I think it will be pretty simple, but let's just jump right into it. So in the text editor main, the text editor program is kind of a little bit strange because it puts everything into a widget, but I guess that's okay. So let's see. So this is the main UI of the text editor app, and everything here is in a vertical box layout, and then there's a toolbar and so on. So what we want to do is we want to have a where we normally put the text editor. Here we have a no, not this editor here. GUI text editor, where we normally put this. I think we're going to want to put it into a splitter, but the splitter can be only populated with the text editor normally. We're just going to put it together with a splitter so that if we need to instantiate a Markdown view, we'll be able to do that. And by the way, there's no such thing actually as a Markdown view. What we do is we convert the Markdown to HTML, and then we put the HTML in an HTML view. But we can do that kind of transparently and pretty easily. So first thing we'll do is we'll just put a splitter here. Splitter is going to be a add GUI vertical splitter. No, is that not how you do that? There is such a thing, yes, but we have to say, do we have to say something about this? No, we can just do that. Okay, and then instead of adding the editor to the main UI, we just add it to the splitter. So I think it's that simple. And then of course we're going to need libweb here, so, and libmarkdown, but that's okay. Text editor. Yeah, it already has libjs. I was just thinking, why does it have libjs? But I guess it's because of the JavaScript syntax highlighting. So we're just gonna add libweb and libmarkdown like that, and apps text editor. Okay. So this thing just works, that's good. Let's add a web view, HTML view, and libmarkdown document. Okay, so just for testing, we can just add it to the UI, and then we'll just do this live updating thing so that whenever you change the text document, we'll just parse it as Markdown and see if it renders. So in the splitter, after we put the We're going to use a horizontal splitter, actually. Vertical would be kind of ugly. So after we put in the editor, we'll just follow up by putting splitter add web HTML view. And then, HTML view is this. Wait a minute, this is not the right place. I want to go in the text editor widget. Okay, here we are. Ref footer to web HTML view. Okay, lib web forward. Okay, and then whenever you're changing the content here, what we're going to do is say if, oh, well, just for simplicity, actually, let's just say Markdown document. I think this, yeah, this is how you parse Markdown. This, Sergey added the Markdown implementation, and the API is a little bit different than what I would normally do for Parser, but it's good enough for what we need right now. So we're just gonna have to parse, I guess, the editor text. And if this succeeds, that means that we managed to parse the Markdown. So we'll just say document render to HTML, and then mHTML view load. No, set document. How do we make a document out of this? What do we normally do after we render to HTML? So let's see what the help program does. Render to HTML. Oh, and then it just calls web parse HTML document. Okay, we can do that. So document parse HTML document, set document HTML document. And then what we need here is libweb parser HTML parser. Oh, and we need lib protocol because of libweb. Depends on lib protocol. That's okay. So let's see what we can do here. So we'll open up the README file and look at that. All right, so what happens if I start to edit here? It works right away. That's pretty awesome. Screenshot. Only one screenshot. I don't know. But if we are scroll down like this, then what happens? License. Say that we would change the license suddenly to a 32 clause BSD license. Oof. And then it just updates. So I like that it doesn't scroll when it updates. Normally you might want it to scroll when you're swapping out the document, but in our case we actually want it to stay like this. So really, really cool. Of course we don't have like something like selection tie-in, so that would be a lot trickier to do, but we don't even have selection in the HTML view at all yet, so, or at least not visually. But this is pretty neat. So if I click on this, yeah, just nothing happens if you click on the links. I think that's okay. Might be an interesting feature to show the target of the link as a tooltip or something, maybe. Not quite sure, but this is just really neat how it just started working right away. And you can, of course, resize it. And so imagine that you went here and you started wanting to edit some man pages, right? Like you wanted to edit the open man page. Then it would look like this when you edit. Description. Totes. Okay, this is it's just working out so easily. Then it's almost stupid how simple this was. but I guess now we are just have to polish it up and finish this struggle-free feature. Maybe there'll be some struggle in front of us. Let's see. I guess one thing is we want this to be off by default. So unless you open a Markdown document, maybe. So let's say that we will only do this if Markdown preview enabled. So we'll have that be a special mode. Yeah, I mean, I guess now comes the hard part where we just make it a little bit more sophisticated, not always on. So where do we normally do the syntax highlighting? Here, set path. Okay, so when we set path, that's when we decide which syntax highlighting to do. So I think here we can do something like, first off, let's just do this. It makes me a little nervous to see those. Else if. So we'll turn this on, or set Markdown preview enabled. True. And then we'll make that a mode. So something like so if they are already the same, ignore. Otherwise, I guess refresh Markdown preview or update Markdown preview, let's say, and let's put that in a helper function instead. So update Markdown preview. Update Markdown preview. Food preview. Okay, this will be an internal helper. Update Markdown preview. And then I'm thinking, should we have an action for this in the menu somewhere? I guess we can do that. We can just add an action that's always there. So if you wanted to, you could turn on Markdown preview for anything. Because you might not want to call your Markdown file .md for some reason, and still want to be able to turn on preview. So let's see, what am I looking for here? These are all menu. Where are the menus? Here are the menus. Edit, font. Why is font its own menu here? Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Anyway, view. This goes in view. Yeah. Line wrapping. So we'll put it separator here. Separator and Markdown preview action. Maybe I'll just make an action here. GUI action, create checkable, Markdown preview. And we will just do, what are we going to do here? I'm going to say Markdown preview, set Markdown preview enabled is action is enabled. Yeah. That's all it needs to do, really. Now we just need to implement that function. So wait, didn't I already implement that? Set Markdown preview enabled. Yes, I did. Okay, let's put him next to the update function so that they at least sit together at lunch. Here we go. And then I think basically we will transfer the update state so that if not enabled, we don't do that, and we'll also say HTML view set visible enabled. So we'll hide the HTML view if the feature is turned off. Okay, so now if we open my file.txt, I still get this thing because I need to turn it off on startup. HTML view needs to be invisible. Yeah. And actually, if I switch files, so if we set path, like if we switch the open file to something else, we need to actually stop having the Markdown preview enabled. So I think we'll do something like this. And we probably want the menu action to reflect the state of this flag. So if the flag changes, we need to update the menu action. Markdown preview action. So let's store that somewhere where we can access it. It'll be one of those guys, and we'll just put him right here. Oh. And then all we need to do now is just say Markdown preview action set checked enabled. Yeah. Okay, my file.txt opens like this, but if we switch to a Markdown document, boom, preview. And it resizes symmetrically and nicely. That's quite cool. If you change that, what happens? It gets a little bit, this is not really what I would want it to do. I would want this thing to retain its width, but that's a limitation of the splitter. I don't know exactly what we would want to happen now that I think about it, I guess. Like, how do you know which one is supposed to stay static in a situation like this? And which one really should? Like, I feel like the preview should stay the same size, and if you resize, you're giving more size to the text editor widget, but I don't know. Markdown preview off. Didn't do anything. Markdown preview on. Okay, so that doesn't do anything. Markdown preview action. Oh, is enabled. I need to do is checked. Enabled and checked are not the same thing. Enabled just means that you can interact with it. Okay. So if we were to turn on Markdown preview, boom, we can actually do it. Oh, and it didn't update immediately there. Foo bar. So if we enable it, that flag check is backwards. So if you turn it on, then we need to do an update right away. Poof, and poof. This is a nonce file. Very big text. Wait, how do you this? Code looks like this. I'm a list of things. That's nice. I'm a link. Ooh! What happened? Oh, we have an assertion failure in the Markdown parser. Look at that. Well, I am just gonna leave that one alone right now. Don't want to debug the Markdown parser, but I think we're instead gonna we are just gonna make a commit here. So text editor, add live Markdown preview when editing Markdown. This works by hooking into the change notifications from text editor widget and parsing the document content as Markdown, narrating, creating HTML, and then generating HTML document from it, which is displayed in an HTML view using libvibe. This takes man page authoring. This will make it a bit easier to write man pages. Wow, we're going for a double smiley in this one. Pretty cool though, man. So we open that one, comes up right away. That is so nifty. Wow, this is just so nifty. Oh, we don't have italic, but if I wanted to show the stars, I would do that, right? And for bold, I would do that. And for bold with the asterisk, poof. That's so cool. I love it. Okay, so I think this is going to be it for today's video. I just suddenly thought of this feature idea and I just wanted to do it. So ran to the computer and here we are. So that's it. Thank you for hanging out today. I hope that you saw something interesting. And I really like this this thing that we do in Serenity where we take these modern concepts like Markdown and JSON and things like that, and we sort of put them into this kind of 1990s looking environment and just find homes for them. It's a really fun exercise, and I think this is such a good fit. It's just really it's just really nice. Anyway, I'm going to stop gushing over this feature and say thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next time.